Good afternoon and welcome everybody to Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Dan McCormick, the host of the Greatest Salesman podcast, and she is Amanda Earnest from the fabulous San Clemente, California. This is going to be just terrific. If you're joining us for the first time, so you're used to the format of the show, please, if you're live with us, leave your comments. You can like the show. You can share the show. You can give us a review of the show or later on a particular podcast site. We know that we're live right now. Ashley's in the house. Jamie's in the house. We're going to love your comments and your questions throughout the show. Every single Wednesday, 2 p.m., we go live, Wisdom Wednesday. Nicole is with us. Going to have a lot of fun here today, everybody. This is our 12th episode of the Greatest Salesperson podcast. And today, the one person that gets to sit in that chair is my friend, one of my favorites, Amanda Earnest. Welcome to the show, Amanda. How are you?
I am fantastic. It's the greatest day of my life, of course. Right, Dan?
It is the greatest day. And ever since I met you several years ago, it's been a joy to watch your journey. And what I love to do for our listeners, because we know that people have so many things on their plate, I love to just sit and say, I'm looking at the greatest salesperson in the world. What could you tell me as a way of value for our listeners today are 3 things that shape your life and your day that put you in this chair?
Oh, well, thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me on. It's such a privilege to be here. What's up, everybody? Make sure to say hey in the comments. Let us know where you are joining from. We would love to get to know you a little bit better. My 3 things that I was really giving some thought to this, it's kind of a loaded question. Yeah. It's like, what are the 3 things that guide your life, right? It's like, wow, that's a lot of things. And I narrowed it down to a few things that lately seem to be guiding for me. And the first one is presence. The second one is priorities. And the third one is service.
Wow, that's deep. I love it. I think that so being a mom, being a successful multi-million-dollar producer, being someone that has 5 children, I imagine presence weighs on your mind each and every day with every one of those children, every call, every Zoom, every live, every story. You got to be present, don't you?
This is something that thanks to Dan, believe it or not, and Habit Finder and their CEO, Paul Blanchard, one of their elite coaches, Alex McMillan, who I've been coaching with for quite some time now. I learned a lesson in terms of presence that truly changed my life. And that's why I put it on the number 1 thing, because I found after a couple years getting started in the business that I'm currently in, it really was an exciting time to be a part of something that was just huge, so life-changing, not only for our family, but for so many other people. But when you get into a flow, into a passion, a space that you just are very excited and grateful to be there, sometimes it becomes hard to balance. And I just talked to at our company conference, virtual conference last weekend, about this word balance, and how Alex really taught me that instead of seeking out that balance, instead it's balancing. It's a noun versus a verb. And I found that with presence, it really becomes balancing. That as a mom of 5, I find myself moving between the moments and the obligations and the things throughout my day that I want to experience. For example, I got to a point where I was so overwhelmed. I was drained. I was stuck in a place, and go ahead and write in the comments and share this out if you think this would be a message that would serve people that you know today. Give it a share. But I just found that I was in such a place of paralyzing obligation that when I was in one place, I felt guilty for not being in another. And when I was in another place, I felt like a bad leader for not being over here. And I felt like even trying to multitask and do more than one thing at the same time was just exhausting for me energetically. Yeah. I wasn't being present. So an example I'll just share with you. For example, I quit having my AirPod thing in. I like to listen to books, podcasts. I talk on voice messaging apps with my team every day. But when my kids get in the car, if I have a kid next to me or in the seat behind me, I said, how am I going to be present even for 5-10 minutes on this car ride? I chose to take the AirPod out, put it in its little case, and just hold some silence. Sometimes my teenagers especially, they won't have anything to say to me, but sometimes they do. And being available has been like oxygen, not only for me, but for my kids. Did you know? My 8-year-old told me this week, yesterday, driving home, just he and I in the car, Mom, did you know that when you're being still, you're actually moving because the earth is moving?
Oh, that's beautiful.
I wouldn't have had an opportunity to experience this moment with my beautiful son if I was like not present. If I was doing on a call, Ethan, I'm listening to my thing, okay, 1 second. So even just small moments like that, when I'm making dinner, sometimes I like to video my dinners. People like my recipes. If I'm not videoing it, I just like to make dinner.
Yeah.
Making dinner. When I'm recharging at the end of the day, I just want to recharge. And when I'm fully with my team or with a new lady who got started or on this podcast with you, I am like in it to win it. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm not feeling bad that I'm not somewhere else right now because I've shifted. I've come into this moment, into this presence, right, with you and everybody who's watching right now. So that for me is definitely something that's been really, really liberating, a great gift to my life. That lesson.
If there's a greatest salesman in the world tip to start a show off, that is epic. I can't believe it, because when you think about that presence and the world has got just that constant distraction noise. I was actually watching that movie last night, The Social Dilemma, about how distracted we are in the world. And that's the design of everything, the look and the feel, to distract us, to get us off center, off focus. But that's why Og was so brilliant to give you and I the challenge to read that scroll, not once, but 3 times a day. And just to be able to figure out how to dial in that presence. And in a sense, the priority becomes the presence. And then you've got your service to your children because you're present and it's a priority, or to your team, or to the new prospect that you're just meeting, or to the lovely child you're saying hello to right now.
You just want to say, hey, come here, Hazel.
Give us a big smile, Hazel.
Hey, she has a bit of a boogery nose today, so I didn't want to send her to school.
Oh, that's okay.
If you don't want to say hi, you don't have to, but you just want to say hi. Show everybody you're on a night.
Good morning.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you all.
Wonderful to have you. We even have Scotland in the house listening in.
Now I'm going to go back to my show, okay?
Live is absolutely.
Just show me something real quick. Sorry to be kind of like, but it's the movement. We just had to balance a second. We just witnessed it in real life, right?
Love it. And your team loves it. Your friends love it. Scotland loves it. People are all over the place. The comment you made about balance versus balancing, noun versus verb, brilliant. The first time we met, here's what I remember. You really love the personal development journey. You really resonate with it. And I think to be the leader of thousands and thousands of females and entrepreneurs and moms and couples, etc., what an awesome thing that you fell in love with. Where do you think that came from?
Sometimes I refer to myself as Amanda 1.0. A few years ago, before I got started in home-based businesses, I had a traditional business for like 3 kids worth, however many years that took me, 7 or 8 years. And I moved into a non-traditional business several years after that, after 2008. And I don't know. I just feel like the presence that I have and the priorities needing to shift and going into something bigger than myself and something that was going to involve potentially thousands and maybe even hundreds of thousands, like in your case, Dan, impacting all these lives, I had better get a software update for myself. And I found that without that, I was really struggling. I wasn't able to succeed at the levels that I saw other people winning. And I had some great mentors in my life who I didn't actually listen to that great for quite some time. But it was after I struggled for long enough and it started to sting just enough, I started to humble myself more to their coaching and to their invitation to grow myself and become the leader that I wish that I could be or that I wanted to be, and to choose to lean into that. And that was going to take some getting uncomfortable, like going to the gym and ripping your muscle as you're lifting weights so that it grows back stronger. It was painful. It was hard. It still is painful and hard when I have coaches and mentors who I look up to, who I trust, who I know love me and care about me, give me a reality check from time to time. When the little thing on my screen pops up and says, uh-oh, you need a software update. And sometimes I click remind me tomorrow. And sometimes I click update now. And the more I click that update now button, the more successful I found myself to become and the better job I've been able to do at helping other people do the same thing.
Wow. Terrific wisdom. When you and I met a few years ago, my daughter, me, you, I think one of your daughters was with you, and we really got into the personal development discussion, and me being able to grow up and travel with Jim Rohn and being able to really study the greatest salesman in the world. I gave you the challenge. I said, you got to put this to the test. And, if you're joining us late, if any of the comments that are coming in here, so many people have so many accolades for your leadership and your passion for the greatest salesman, the greatest secret in the world. And I gave you that link back then. I gave you that link, and I'll give everyone the link right now. And if you haven't done this and you want to know why Amanda is so present, so prioritized, so service-oriented, and she mentions her coach and she gives accolades to those that have shared the journey with her. Paul Blanchard's on the show with us right now making comments, and we've got all kinds of amazing people. But if you have not taken this simple little sponsored assessment that we have for you as a gift that has a remarkable value of hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, to align your life with the teachings and the truths and the principles that Og shares in these fantastic scrolls. So simply go to habitfinder.com/Amanda, and you can take that in a matter of minutes. And I always reference scroll number 9. Do it now, right? It's I will act now. Do it today. Make that a family priority. Make that as something you're going to be totally present to do. And you know that you will get a free assessment on behalf of the Og Mandino Company. If you're joining us late, we certainly welcome you. You can hit #replay or like or share. We hope you'll share this to your page and let everybody feel the wisdom that she is sharing here today on the show. She's Amanda Earnest, the top distributor in the globe with a company called Mascara. And I'm so happy because that first meeting we had several years ago, company was brand new. You're just starting. You're all fired up. You introduced personal development to your journey. I think that was the first time you read the book. Correct me if I'm wrong when I gave you that challenge that day.
That was the first time I read The Great Salesman. Yes, sir. And by the way, if you're watching, you haven't read this book, I'm a huge fan. If I got any team members watching, I'm a huge fan of listening to books just because I'm a busy mom, spend a lot of time in the car. This is one you want to get on paper, ladies,
yes,
gentlemen. Highly recommended. I had not read it before. You can see I've got it dog-eared and highlighted and marked up. I've read it several times, frankly, and the scrolls even more. But I had read personal development books in the past. Definitely, this was the first time I had ever heard of the greatest salesman in the world, though. Thank goodness. Thank goodness Dan McCormick shared it with me.
Well, you are the greatest salesperson in the world today. What struck you? Do you remember the first time you read it? There's a parable form. There's a philosophy for writing, a philosophy for living that makes Og so unique in the greatest salesman message. Was there something that struck you about it?
Well, I remember the first time I read it, a lot of the personal development books that we're used to reading are kind of like, well, they're like self-help books. Right. They're kind of like a coaching if you were to hear someone talking to you. What is so beautiful about the greatest salesman is, and I love that you keep calling it greatest salesperson. Well, okay, the greatest salesman in the world is that it's a fictional story. Yeah. It's beautifully written. It's eloquent. It's captivating. It's like a parable, right? And so many great lessons can be learned from great stories. And so I found, in terms of the philosophy and everything, that is definitely a whole different ballgame. But I was expecting just another, this is going to be a book about how to sell stuff, about how to be a great seller. And it's going to give me strategies and tactics on marketing or who knows what. You can change your life with the priceless wisdom of the scrolls. I'm like, what is this? And I'm reading it. I'm like, holy cow, this is a great story. And when I shared a piece of it, in fact, I have it right here. This is my presentation I did the other day. So like 8 pages, wow. Okay, all typed out. I got them all marked up and stuff. And it's still here on my pink couch. Just the scrolls alone, I ended my whole presentation with portions of the scroll marked 5. I will live today as if it is my last. And I wrote in the margins of that it's just so poetic. And I just think that writing can be so poetic and it can be art, and there can be so much beauty in words and in writing and in their meaning and in how that can change a person's life. And that really kind of stirred me to the core, so that I was able to really really take in the lessons from the parable, because it really stirred up my heart and opened my understanding in a new way, in almost like an artistic way.
Well, I got to interrupt you, because we've had a few spouses chime in as the show has moved along over the 12 episodes we've done. We've got your spouse on the screen here right now. Now, Mark may not remember me, but I know him and his brothers used to hang out shooting basketballs at the church, and I'd sometimes show up and see them, and I would know them as teenagers. And so I got truth bumps just standing up on my arms, knowing that your husband is in the house here right now. And I cannot think of a family that I would have more admiration for, because I knew your mother-in-law, I worked with your father-in-law, and I just got amazing just being choked up thinking about your family. And I've been to your parents' house, meeting your folks and seeing what your dad does in the community, what your mom does. Amazing. What your husband's comment here is what I always hoped that the Greatest Salesman podcast would do, is bring out the most genuine, authentic people in the world, and how the scrolls and the parable and the principles resonate with you. So take us through some of those thoughts that you had for your company last week.
Okay, so I'll go back to the piece about balance and presence. It really does sort of flow into my second thing of the 3 that you asked me, which is to prioritize in every moment, right? And so when I'm driving somebody home from school, my priority is going to shift. It's going to always move, and I'm going to be in that moment. And then the third piece was service. And this is something that in the business, I happen to be in a home-based business where we help other people really achieve what their goals are. They're not employees. We like to say it's a volunteer army. I have some people, I like to kind of draw a picture that looks like this. Our company, our business, and all home-based business owners, right? We've got base camp, right? And we're like at Mount Everest. sometimes it feels like. And I have so many ladies who are so happy to enjoy the beautiful view and the campfire and some s'mores in the community. And I have others who are like halfway up the mountain yesterday, they've got all their equipment and they're ready to go. And as a leader in this business, I really feel like all are welcome. We'll take everybody who wants to be a part of something more, something that's going to uplift and inspire them. And to serve is to see where a person's at and to come into that moment with them and find out how can I help you, get where you want to go, which may not always be the top of the mountain, or maybe she just wants to get to that next ledge so she can kind of get a little better view because she keeps hearing people talk about the view up there and she's kind of getting curious about what it might look like, but maybe she's not ready or available fully to go all the way to the top. So just really serving my team and leaving my agenda at the door, my personal goals, or, I need somebody to do something so that I get somewhere, right? It's not about that for me. And by always making it about my ladies as much as humanly possible, that's just been, like I said earlier, it's just been oxygen for my business. It takes away the stress, the obligation, the scarcity, right? All of that. And it just makes the whole experience a beautiful one. So is that good?
It's epic. I mean, Rhonda likes it. Rhonda loves it. She thinks it's
Rhonda.
magic.
Hey, what's up, Rhonda? One of my ladies. Yeah, and I ended up the thing with scroll 5, and I know that you were studying this scroll today before the show, Dan.
I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, I know there's only 10 scrolls, but to know that I literally pick up my book after 1 o'clock Pacific time today and I turn to that scroll and I'm just wowed by it because of the amount of questions that Og asks you. Individually, he's going to ask you a lot of questions. I challenge everyone to go study this scroll today and see how many questions he's asking of you. It is so epic. And then on the pre-conference, you tell me that that's the talk you gave last week, and I had no idea.
It's so cool.
So cool.
It's totally meant to be.
Yeah.
So it is the scroll marked 5. Yeah. I will love this day. Is it my last? And the first question it asks, and what shall I do with this last precious day which remains in my keeping? That's so powerful.
So powerful.
It's poetic. It could be answered in so many ways, depending on how you choose to experience what could very well be your last precious day.
I think that if we all really ask ourselves that question, your point number 3 is really what it's all about. If we really study the story before the scrolls, we can really see the depth of the spiritual story that Og is telling us at such a heightened level. And what's so amazing about that is that's what a parable does. It's always peeling away the onion layer where we're ready. It meets us where we are. And when I turned to this scroll today, it met me where I was, not knowing it was going to meet me and you with Og where it was today. And it's just so fantastic what Charity's saying there. I'd love to know how you choose to experience today. So I'll ask you, Charity's asking you, how do you choose to experience today?
Well, we did a training call just last night for like some of our leaders. We had something like 150 ladies on there.
Wow. And
we had Coach Alex McMillan come in as a guest trainer, which we do from time to time, usually just me talking everybody's ear off, or we chat dynamically and strategize and make plans. But this particular time, it was a special privilege to have Alex with us. And he reminded us that everything in life and in our day is just something that's happening. And we are the ones who choose to experience those things, whether for good or for bad. For example, I failed miserably at this just hours ago. This is something that I have to practice, okay? This is something I'm going to be practicing every day. Failed miserably. We're redoing the garage downstairs. We had, prior to the contractor coming in yesterday to hang a bunch of cabinetry, I had an electrician come in, move some electrical. I had a plumber come in and run some water down so we could put a fridge out there. And we plug in the fridge today finally after contractors out of there, cabinets are hung, floors done, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like going like this. I'm like, here we go. We're going to have water in the garage. This is going to be amazing. And I go, ding, nothing comes out. And I'm like, oh man, maybe there's water in the line. Or maybe there's air stuck in the line. Ding. It's like going over and over and over. And I'm like, Mark, is the valve open? He's around the corner. Yeah. Are you sure? It's supposed to be parallel with the line. Yes, it's open, I promise. So we end up pulling the fridge out, unscrewing the line, holding it into a bowl, open the line back up, no water's coming out. And I'm like, there's no water running through this line. That's now behind cabinets in a wall, and it's not like this is going to be easy to move at this point. I went to a lot of trouble, you know, Dan.
Yes.
Get this all ready. Get the plumber and the electrician, all of this, get everything out of the garage, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, there's no water in this line. You know, what am I going to do? I failed. I got mad about it. I let it upset me. I mean, and me getting mad, by the way, Amanda version 2.0 or 3.0 was like an eye roll and like a semi-grumpy phone call. You know, I'm not like punching holes through the wall or anything, but seriously, I'm like calling the plumber. I'm like, hello. Yeah, hi, it's me, Amanda Earnest calling. There's no water running in the line that you ran last week. Can you please come over? I mean, after I got off the phone, I totally realized that I forgot a lesson I had been taught not 24 hours ago, that I didn't have to experience the lack of water in my cup, right? Literally, my cup was not full, right? That day, actually full. I chose to experience that in a way of denial, in a way of, I can't believe this. What do you mean you can't believe this? You're staring at it and there's no water coming out. It is proof right in front of your eyes that this is what's happening. And to choose to just experience that and say, one of your favorite questions, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? When you see something that's like a disruption,
yeah,
and you taught my leaders that, you're like, isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is so interesting.
Huh. I should have been like, man, there's no water coming out of there. Look up at the valve. Isn't that interesting? Make a friendly phone call. Hello, can you come take a look? Thank you very much. Go on with experiencing the rest of my day with joy and gratitude.
Nice.
I was derailed. I moved out of that. But again, we practice. Rip the muscle, tear it down, build it back up. At least I have some unawareness, right? That next time I experience a disruption like that, take a breath. Isn't that interesting? Choose to experience it and move into the next thing that I need to do. Make the phone call.
One of the more interesting text messages I've ever received in my life came from you in April.
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous about this.
You text me, maybe I had texted you and asked you how you were doing through the new world that we were living in. And I think you said something to the effect that maybe a lot of moms are great at this new homeschooling thing, but that's just not me. But thanks to the Augmandino company, the coaching, and you gave me credit. You said you reached a pinnacle of financial success that you just couldn't believe. And I always thought that there was magic in making $83,333 a month. I always thought that was a magical number. But when you texted me that you surpassed this magical number and you've grown leaps and bounds since then, I can't even believe how much my heart was full for you because of not what you were getting, but because what you were giving. And I see Charity's comment here, and I see Sharon across the pond, and I see Rhonda, and I see others commenting in the screen here. And I just got to say, congratulations to you as the greatest salesperson in the world. This is just an epic lesson that you've given us on how to treat failure and tear the muscle sometimes off the bone and go out there and rebuild and redo. And
when that happens,
it happens. We go through these frustrations and disappointments. But do you now remember that text?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
The greatest salesperson in the world is sitting here on the screen right now for everyone to learn from.
Yeah, that's a cool, really beautiful experience to really have. If you're watching that number that Dan threw out, if you do that 12 times, it's $1 million.
Right.
So that's why he had that down to the penny,
Yeah.
And so the homeschooling thing, man, that was a situation. I would just say. And last spring, when everybody was sent home sometime around March, I've got my 5 kids at home at the time. I had preschool, elementary school in a language immersion program, extra plot twist, okay, a junior high and a high school, okay, and now all these people are at home. The little kids are disruptive for the big kids. Big kids are missing their friends. The little kids are bored. They don't like looking at the screen. We kind of just ended the year early and went up to the mountains and, I don't know, hiked around and enjoyed our lives for a couple months. Like, well, that was a good school year. We give up. On to the fall. But then fall came, right? And I'm here in California. I don't know how many of you guys are back in school. Here in California, we are not yet back in school. Okay, and we're trying, we're going. And I'm like, this is fine. We're going to be back soon. We got this. We set up a little schedule. My husband, Mark, who was on here, made this really cool, daily plan. And the kids can earn stuff if they do their school, and we pick up some extra Chromebooks, and we get all this equipment, and we're like, okay, 2 weeks in, I'm hiding in the laundry room. I'm just like, I can't do this. And honestly, I had a kindergartner needing to be logged into 4 Zooms a day. And she's listening to the teacher Hablando Español. And Hazel's like, she goes, Mom, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, I can understand Spanish, especially kindergarten level Spanish, but I'm not available to go to kindergarten every day. I have a job because I have a business that I'm running. I have other kids who I need to help. What if I have to go somewhere? I'm not there to log her in. So it just wasn't working. And it was a very, very, kind of a humbling moment. And also, I just felt so much gratitude when, with Mark, my husband, we just look at each other like, we got to find a solution. And we were able to enroll the kids in a private school nearby that actually had to receive some kind of waiver because they can social distance and the children are allowed to attend in person. And we moved all the kids over there. Now we're like, uniforms are going and, they got to get their lunches. And now it's like we're starting the school year late and catching up, but at least the kids can go. And we found a solution for our family just to be able to have choices thanks to this business. And truly the success that I've had in this business is so deeply rooted in the principles I've learned in The Greatest Salesman and from Og Mandino and Hafid and the scrolls. And really going through the muscles gotten ripped off the bone. And I said earlier, I hate it when that happened, kind of as a joke. The truth is we got to kind of love it. We got to kind of love it because those are the stepping stones to what you're trying to create. And without it, you're never going to be strong enough to lift, the 100-pound dumbbell or whatever it is you're trying to lift or whatever dreams it is that you're trying to create. So learning how to welcome those moments with joy and gratitude, learning how to move through my life as I experience it with joy and gratitude, checking myself when I forget to do that, like I forgot this morning, right? And consciously choosing to move back into my creation and my greatness and what I'm called to serve my ladies and to serve my family and to love my life, right? That for me is, I mean, it sounds kind of cliche to say it's priceless, but truly it was a gift to be able to have that experience and that choice and those freedoms, and to really realize that it all came from this business and the things that I've been able to learn from it.
You've got a lot to share and a lot to offer so many people. If you're joining us late, please get your copy. Make sure it's as dog-eared as hers and mine. This is, I don't know what number copy this is for me, but I hope you'll go to habitfinder.com/Amanda to see if you can't amp up your thoughts and align them with the principles and the parables that Og is teaching at habitfinder.com/Amanda. I'm going to go to Charity's comment when she asked about how do we approach this day. For me, it's scroll number 2, because that's what rings in my ears when my eyes open, when my brain alerts to being awake. I will greet this day, Charity, with love in my heart. And I just look to the comment that you just made about Hafid. And I love what Hafid says, because I value friendships so much, and you and your friendship and what you're bringing to so many. When he says at the beginning of the book, I've always counted your friendship as my greatest asset. And I think that if we treat people like that, you're going to be possibly on the path to being a terrific leader by being a friend that is taking action and that is greeting each day with love in your heart. There's so many great comments here. One of the things that I get the privilege of doing is re-listening every week to every single guest that I've had, 12 episodes now. And I wonder if you wouldn't, in closing, because I know our time is short. In closing, when you look at maybe it's your closing remarks from your message the other day to your convention with thousands and thousands of ladies, or your closing thoughts right now on that very scroll, I pulled out the cardstock version so I could study it along with you. And I just love, some of the words are just so, you used the word priceless a moment ago, but there really is some remarkable depth. And the principle, the parable here is just so deep. If we'll just look at these questions and these challenges to the parable, I will live this day as if my last. For our friend Sharon here, who's commenting on the screen right now, that's over in Scotland, and it's 10:30, 11:30 at night, or somebody that's on the West Coast here, and it's just 2:30 in the afternoon, I've got so many hours left in the day. What would Amanda say to the ladies that are aspiring to your success, to the people and the entrepreneurs that are aspiring to be you on stage? What would you say in closing to them?
Well, I pulled up scroll 2 too, right here. When you just said that, I'm going to go back to 5 in a second, but I just want you to see, I have written on here my favorite.
Beautiful.
Because really the scroll mark 2, I think, is, I will greet this day with love in my heart. It really is probably my favorite. But in terms of what we're talking about today, and why I love scroll 5 so much and why it's so relevant, not only to this discussion, but to how I'm experiencing my life lately, right? I'll just read you what I shared with my ladies over the weekend, a few little excerpts, and then I'll wrap it up here. Some of my favorite pieces from the scroll mark 5 is, what shall I do with this last precious day, which remains in my keeping? Again, watch for the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And it says, first it will seal up its container of life so that not one drop spills itself upon the sand. I will waste not a moment mourning yesterday's misfortunes, defeats, or aches of heart. And then it skips ahead a bit. Yesterday's buried forever, and I will think of it no more. I will live this day as if it is my last. See, he titles the scroll, in this case, I will live this day as if it is my last, and it repeats several times throughout the thing. It says, can tomorrow's sand flow through the glass before today's? Will the sun rise twice this morning? Can I perform tomorrow's deeds while standing in today's path? Can I place tomorrow's gold in today's purse? No, tomorrow lies buried with yesterday, and I will think of it no more. I will live this day as if it is my last. This day is all I have, and these hours are now my eternity. How beautiful is that?
So beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful.
This is the poetry I was talking about. I greet the sunrise with cries of joy as a prisoner who is reprieved from death. I lift my arms with thanks for this priceless gift of a new day. That kind of ties back to the other scroll. I will greet this day with love in my heart, right? It finishes, and I'm almost done. Is this my day to excel? Another great question. I will live this day as if it is my last. I have but one life, and life is not but a measurement of time. When I waste one, I destroy the other. If I waste today, I destroy the last page of my life. The duties of today I shall fulfill today. This day I will make the best day of my life. And I love that every time I talk to Dan McCormick on the phone, hello, Amanda, yeah, how's it going? Good, how are you? It's the best day of my life. Of course it is. Bye, have a great day, Dan. Have the greatest day of your life. Okay, hang up the phone. But you guys, he is dead serious about this. He means it.
Yeah.
Have the greatest day of your life, for now, this moment is your eternity.
Yes. Well, when it comes to the annals of history of personal development, personal growth, you just delivered 41 minutes of beauty. I don't know. I mean, I know that you and I, we don't go by notes a lot. When we go, we just go. I mean, there's something on our mind. There's maybe a person or a training or something we just did. There's something that's resonating with us. And I think today you gave us just something beautiful. And I really appreciate it. I know your time is valuable. And I know that the people, no matter where they listen, no matter when they listen, please comment, please share, please like, please review. And we just hope that you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I know that you've been a tremendous friend, and I'm just your biggest cheerleader. I just can't believe the good in the world that you're doing at the magnitude you're doing it at. Congratulations to you and your family. And I hope everybody goes out and makes it the greatest day of their life, because Og said to do it. And he says it one other place in the scrolls, and that's your challenge to find it.
Oh my gosh. He's like, ooh, where?
Yeah. That's your challenge.
Homework assignment. Okay, challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Well,
yes.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. She's Amanda Earnest, and she's the greatest salesperson in the world today. I'm Dan McCormick, the host of the podcast, an ambassador to the Og Mandino Company. Go out and make it the greatest day of your life. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.